It's much cooler in here than it is out in the other arena. That can't be right. Yeah, they got a gate on here. This can't be right. I think the gate was 16.76 million. Attendance was 20,062. Tai Tuivasa and Duplessis got the performance of the night, and then fight of the night was the O'Malley fight. The kid comes in on short notice, wouldn't go away, trying to win, fought his ass off, and he deserves. And bonuses were $75,000. So congratulations to all of them.
Yeah, no doubt. Dana, got to get your thoughts on the main event, right? A great fight while it lasted, and then kind of a bizarre ending. So talk about your immediate reaction to that.
Yeah, these second leg break, and the last 3 fights or something. It sucks. It's brutal. It's not the way you want to see fights end. So Dustin Poirier fight for the title, and Conor's healed and ready to go. You do the rematch, I guess. I don't know.
Obviously it appeared a pretty clear leg break. Do we have official medical confirmation?
He goes into surgery in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to speak to him at all before he was transported?
Just when I was standing in the octagon.
Yeah. You said it right there. You said do the rematch, right? He said he thinks the rivalry isn't over. Do you feel that way, that the rivalry isn't over and needs to happen?
Listen, the fight didn't get finished. You can't have a fight finished that way. So, we'll see how this whole thing plays out. Who knows how long Conor's out? So, Poirier will do his thing until Conor's ready.
Yeah, you said it. Obviously that's the fight to make, the title fight. Did you speak to Charles or Dustin? Any idea how soon they'd like to fight?
No.
Did want to ask you about Gilbert Burns as well in the co-main event. Obviously not the most exciting fight, but a big result against a top contender. What did you think of his performance?
Yeah, he won. What else is there to say about the fight? It wasn't a good fight, but he won.
Yeah. He had 3 call-outs. He said Masvidal, Leon Edwards, Nate Diaz. You got all those guys at the top knowing that we're waiting on the title fight. Do any of those matchups stand out to you as one that makes sense for him?
Yeah, obviously Edwards and Masvidal make more sense than Nate does. But I don't know. Right here, right now, it's the last thing I'm thinking about.
And I did want to ask you about Sean O'Malley. He got a huge pop in there tonight. As you said, I don't think he did anything wrong in there. The other guy was just incredibly tough. So what did you think about him and kind of where he stands? He seems like just becoming a massive star.
Yeah, listen, he did what he was supposed to do. He stayed on his feet, kept moving, hit the guy with tons of combinations, didn't gas out while doing it. He was looking at the clock a little bit there in the fight, but when you're in there against a zombie, I could just imagine what it's like. So I thought he put on a good performance.
Yeah. Last thing for me, I just meant to ask you earlier. I know you say this is the fight business. People are going to say mean things, but did you have any disappointment in Conor? Still chirping at Dustin while he's sitting on the ground.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear one word of it.
He brought his wife back into things.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, leave people's family and wives and all that stuff out of it. The family has nothing to do with it.
Dana, to your left. What do you make, one of the things Conor said at the press conference the other day was he doesn't count submissions, that, he's 19-1, right, or whatever his record will be without submission losses. So here he's out there going for guillotines. So the fact that guys says he doesn't count it, why was he going for a guillotine?
Listen, you say a lot of things at press conferences, and when you're in a fight, guillotine's a part of the sport, so if it's there, you take it. And it was actually a very risky move for him to take that. I think if you're going to take it, you keep it standing and try to do it standing instead of going to the ground. But, you're in the heat of the moment. And
you probably had a good view of that across the octagon. Did you think Conor was badly hurt when the round ended, forgetting the ankle, just from the punches that Dustin was landing? He landed a lot of big shots from the top, and then the left hand that knocked him down. Did you think Conor was in bad shape just from being buzzed?
I think he got, he definitely was on the receiving end of some elbows and some punches, but that's part of the game. Everybody takes that.
No, I guess what I'm saying is, do you think that would have been a situation where you might have seen Dustin finish it if Conor hadn't gotten injured like that? You see what I'm saying?
Well, he got back up on his feet and was throwing punches. His ankle snapped from throwing punches. you know, he was fighting back. It wasn't like he was up against the cage and defenseless, and Dustin was on load.
Dustin landed a punch that knocked him down, and that's why his leg collapsed back on. Dustin landed a left hand that knocked Conor back, and his leg. And when he got,
listen. I don't know. Only Conor knows the answer to that question. But if his ankle doesn't break, I think we get to the end of the round and go to round.
What do you make of Dustin's performance? I mean, you know, he had, you know, he took a couple shots early, and you know, he shows a lot of resilience as a fighter, right? I mean, is that what you make of it?
Yeah. The shitty part for Dustin is that he gets out of the guillotine. He's got the top position, lands great elbows, punches, ends up winning the round, and then Conor breaks his ankle and so the storyline is, Conor broke his ankle instead of, you know, Dustin looked good.
Last thing, you know, do you think that a Poirier from, say, 2016 or 2015 after the Conor loss would have been able to do this, right? I mean, you know, it seems like the passage of time and the experience he's gained has made a big difference in him being able to weather that storm that Conor put on him and then still come back and put on a good performance and win the fight.
I mean, yeah, 100%. I mean, the Dustin from then knocked out in the first round, so this Dustin took some big shots and you know, was able to get out of the guillotine and turn that guillotine into an advantage for him.
Last thing, just what is the key to that? Like, is it, from your standpoint, is it just experience and having been in those situations? You think that fighters learn that?
Yeah, well, what I think it is for somebody like Dustin is, you know, this guy's at the American top team, and he's training with savages every day. That's the key to everything. I mean, even in boxing, you have to have the best guys in the world around you, you know, going at it with you every day.
Dana, right here.
Yeah.
Right here. Did you agree with the stoppage in the O'Malley-Moutinho fight? Moutinho was very upset when Herb Dean stopped it with 30 seconds left.
I think it could have been stopped 3 minutes before that. He could have stopped it in the second round. That fight could have and should have been stopped at any moment. I had no problem with that stoppage.
And then what did you make of Tai Tuivasa's knockout over Greg Hardy? It kind of looked like it was chaos in there for a bit until he landed a big bomb, and now he's doing shoeies with everyone in the arena. It looks like he could be a big star, too, moving forward in that division.
He's a fun heavyweight. He's a fun guy to watch, and, you know, he's a fun guy in the octagon and out of the octagon.
And then finally, Ilia Topuria, he was the first one to stop Ryan Hall inside the octagon, even though, what did you make of Ryan Hall doing his rolls in there, and then Ilia Topuria just walking away and then diving in and finishing him?
Listen, everything that kid's done before this has worked, you know. Tonight it didn't.
Hey, Dana.
Yep.
Right over here.
Okay.
Hypothetically speaking, if Dustin beats Oliveira and becomes the champion, would you want Conor to fight him for a title shot, or would you want him to fight someone else to earn the title shot?
You know what, all that stuff, you can't do the hypotheticals in this sport. It's all about timing and what's going on, what has happened since then. You know, we got to see how this whole thing plays out. Don't even know how Conor goes into surgery tomorrow. I don't know how long he's going to be out, how much rehab or therapy he's going to need, and, you know.
And lastly, Tai Tuivasa, when he gets the victory, he does the shoeies. The crowd loves it. Do you think we can make that a tradition? If he gets the victory, he does a shoey on the cage.
Make it a tradition?
Tradition.
Like, I don't know. I mean, that's up to him. He's been doing it since he won, hasn't he? I mean, since he's been here. He goes out and does a shoey with everybody ever since he got here, right? Sounds like it's already a tradition.
All right.
Yeah.
Dana, to your right. Right here.
Hey.
Do you have any update on how many stitches Jessica got in the forehead there?
That's a good question. What, Ben? 13? 13 stitches.
Dana, over here to your right.
Oh, wait.
Still
I'm
got
sorry.
some more. What'd you think about that fight, though, in the cut, though? That was a nastier one that we got there.
Yeah, that was a beauty, man. She's tough. She's tough as nails. There's a logical thing that happens to you when you get split wide open like that, and blood is running all over your face, into your eyes, and you know you can see it on the camera. But and especially for a woman, and she's tough, man. She's a gamer.
And then as for the other woman who won on the card, Irene Aldona, what did you think of her performance?
I thought she looked incredible tonight. I thought she looked incredible tonight. I didn't. Is this thing? What am I doing wrong? Holding it wrong? Yeah.
Just like that.
I didn't see the fight ending like that. I thought that was going to be a much tougher fight. She made it look easy. She didn't have a mark on her face. And, yeah, this mic sucks. It's not me.
There you go. It's been like that all night.
All right.
Dana, over here to your right.
Is it kind of exciting for you to have this emergence of Mexican stars, though? That I mean, she's been
Yeah.
around for a while, but she's
Yeah.
continuing to look great.
No, she continues to get better in every performance, and I think tonight was a real coming out party for her, man. And to be honest with you, when I think about it, she should have been up for a performance. You know what? I'm going to give her some money. Thank you
All right.
for bringing her up.
Yeah, of course.
But we're going to pay her some more money too. Remind me of that, because you know I'll forget.
All right, and last thing for me, Dana. We know that you're going back to Fight Island in October now. Is it just going to be for the one event, or are you going to do multiple while you're over there?
Oh yeah, no, it's going to be. I've been talking about how I can't wait to share with you guys all the stuff we're doing. I just haven't gone there yet. I got to get back to Abu Dhabi and have some meetings and get everything finalized out there. Abu Dhabi is going to be a very big UFC for the next however many years.
Thanks, Dana.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Dana, were there any decisions or stoppages that you disagreed with tonight?
Your mic's worse than mine.
I better get closer. Any stoppages or decisions that you disagreed?
Now we got a plane. All right.
I know, perfect.
This is fucking awesome. What are we on the runway here?
Should I go a third time?
Back to the apex. Back to the apex.
Back to the.
Any stoppages or decisions that you disagreed with tonight?
Any what?
Or decisions.
Decisions I disagreed with? No. I listen. Like I said, the could have been stopped a round earlier. I mean, that guy took some serious punishment. We sent him right to the hospital. No stopping, no talking, no nothing. Right to the hospital.
Gotcha. Which fighter or fighters impressed you most tonight?
Which one
Which fighters impressed you the most?
impressed me the most? I mean, it was a great card. A lot of kids look really good tonight. But the Irene Aldona fight, I thought Irene looked awesome. I thought O'Malley, taking on a zombie that wouldn't stop coming forward at him, no matter how. We all know O'Malley hits like a truck. That kid has one punch knockout power, and he hit this kid with everything he had: kicks, punches, you name it, and he couldn't stop him. And I thought he held his composure really well. I'm obviously tied to him. I mean, I could go on and on, except for the co-main event.
Yeah, absolutely. And last for me is the fact that Irene Aldana missed weight something that could go against her as far as you getting her another fight with a higher ranked contender? Is that a factor, or can you forgive that and let her go on to bigger and better? My mic must be really bad.
I'm on top of shit. I didn't know she missed weight.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, that's something we need to talk about. I didn't even know that.
Understood. Thank you.
To be
Hey,
fair,
Dane.
Yeah.
Dana right here,
Yeah.
right over here on your right, Dana.
Yeah.
This is your big night back in Las Vegas, not at the Apex. You filled up T-Mobile. Was it what you expected? I'm assuming you've thought about it quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the buzz and the energy here was awesome. Yeah, it was a good show. You don't ever want to see a main event end like that, but it happens. It's a contact sport.
You talked a lot about, on the broadcast, the most celebrities who have requested tickets. I'm assuming you have a lot of celebrity friends. What's your nice way of telling them, I don't got any more tickets?
This was the one that we had to do it to a lot of people. We had to tell them we don't have any more tickets. This thing sold out so fast and filled up so fast. For instance, I was just telling somebody the other day, you guys know who Coach Brent Venables is, the defensive coordinator for Clemson. The night we were in Abu Dhabi and Poirier won the fight, he texted me that night for tickets for the rematch. So that's how early we were getting ticket requests. So, yeah, and celebrities are used to calling last minute, and nobody got any last minute tickets.
To talk about, in boxing, obviously the Tyson Fury fight got canceled due to COVID. You obviously are now not competing with them, with Sanhagen and Dillashaw. Just what are your thoughts on that? Obviously that might have hurt a bit of the ratings a little bit for UFC.
No, I don't think about that at all. Listen, I used to. 15 years ago, I don't worry about that anymore at all. because it never has happened. And one of the things that we've learned over the last however many years is when you have two fights same night, as long as you're not really stomping all over each other, you actually do pull a better number. Because as fight fans, we're a bunch of sickos, and we will figure out a way to watch both of them at the same time. I've done it a million times, even recently when we've had some boxing events going on at the same time. I mean, even at the Apex, we'll have it on in my room in the back, whatever whatever the boxing fight is, or I'll have them put it at my table. So fans do the same thing. I actually think it helps everybody when we do it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Dana, down to your left over here, Dana.
Yep.
Obviously, we all saw what happened, but any other details? Like, do we know it was the ankle, the lower leg? Do we know exactly what it was?
It looked like the ankle to me, but I'm no doctor. Once they get in and do the x-rays on them and look at it, they'll know exactly what's wrong. I mean, we'll probably know then. You know? What? Lower tibia of the shin, I guess.
Wow. I should have just texted Hunter, I guess. I'm just kidding.
I don't know how the fuck they figured that out that quick, but
And
touche.
did you get a chance to speak with Conor or anyone from his team before?
No. Only in the octagon I saw him.
Okay. Thanks, Dana.
All right.
Dana,
Go ahead. Oh, no, behind you. He was like next 5 guys ago. Yeah, you.
hey, thanks, Dana. I was just wondering, you talked about, and you kind of mentioned the celebrities and so forth, but what did Donald Trump say? What did you say to Trump? There was a chant, go, USA, USA. It was,
No, I met him outside and walked in with him and nothing. Just he's a fight fan here to see the fights tonight. That's it. I've been friends with this guy for years and just two friends who are fight fans watching a fight.
Dana, how come the bonuses were 75 grand tonight? What was the decision behind that?
I was in there giving the fighter meeting. It's a big fight. I was getting all fired up and I just said, fuck.
Same way.
Yeah.
Just like being at the tables, just getting carried away.
Yeah, we get a little fired up in the fighter meeting sometimes, and
Is there any chance you could just make them 75 grand going forward?
probably not.
Thanks.
Dana,
Seriously, fuck up our budget.
we're all like, kind of to your center, like right.
Hi,
there you go.
hi, yeah. How are you?
So good things. So Conor McGregor is probably the most successful athlete in terms of being a brand in UFC. You've got Dustin who has the hot sauce and he's making some headway with that. What are the conversations like that you have with fighters about taking advantage of their moment and really being able to capitalize on their brand, not just as a fighter?
It's so hard to do because you're dealing with grown men and women, and you can't tell people how to spend their money. You can't tell people. The one thing that I always tell them is please pay your taxes. Please pay your taxes. That's the one thing that you don't want to screw up and get behind. And to be honest with you, I mean, probably one of the most successful brands too is Ronda Rousey. I was just with her a few days ago over at the Apex. I mean, this girl owns more houses than I don't know, bought a house in Hawaii, and she's starting a new business, and she's doing this, she's doing that. She's got a new TV show. I think she has really done a great job of capitalizing on all the money she's made, and is continuing to make tons of money outside the octagon after she retired. So, but you either got it or you don't. Right? I mean, it's like you could take 5 different business owners. One is a great businessman and does everything right and blows the business out of the water. One's okay and the other 2 are terrible. You have to have it. If you have it, you do. If you don't, you don't. But you can't tell these kids how to spend their money.
Dana,
Yep.
right here.
Yep.
In the midst of the NBA Finals and the Wimbledon Finals and the Euro Finals, this event tonight was the global epicenter of sport. This organization has jumped leaps and bounds beyond mainstream. Tell me a little bit about what that means to you personally and how now you believe the UFC is viewed in regard to topic A is UFC over all of that around the planet.
Thank you, sir, first of all. And, Eric, my social media guy, came to me, I don't remember what time it was tonight, but he said we're trending #1 in every country in the world right now. We're trending number 1. So, you know, little things like that, and I always knew that this would, and I'm so crazy driven to make it the biggest sport in the world. And I feel like over the last year and a half, a lot of people have gotten soft and lazy and complacent, and I'll run right over all of them. That's the way that I look at it, and I look forward to it.
Dana, over here on your right. All right, we're this way.
Yep.
So all week you were saying most pre-buys ever, most pre-buys ever. Do you have that number in front of you right now, or do you have an estimate of that number?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was all about that right before the ankle break. I didn't even. So I'm thinking that I know that at 8 o'clock we were over 1.2 million buys just in the U.S. So my assumption, I have to be careful with this stuff now because we're a public company and I can't go out shooting my mouth off and have it be, you know, completely wrong. But I'm going to say that we came in anywhere between 1.7 million and 1.8 million.
That's fantastic, Dana. Obviously, a huge week, a lot of obstacles in the way. What was the biggest challenge of setting up this fight week?
You know, this was a typical fight week. The worst part of this week was tickets. Tickets is this job. I hate it. I've been doing it for 20 years. And when people ask me, you know, when you retire, what will you be excited about? I'll be excited about not doing tickets anymore. That's about it. Every other aspect of this job I love. Or tickets suck. It's the worst part of this job. It's like a wedding every weekend. I'm doing a wedding and seating people, and nobody's happy with where they're sitting. And this guy's in front of me, and that guy's behind me, and you know how that goes. Especially when you get celebrities and all that shit. It just and fighters. You know, you seat these guys. I could bitch all night to you about tickets.
Dana, you said you had words with Conor in the cage. What were the words?
No, I just looked at him. I said, "How you do? You okay? You okay?" You know, and he just gave me the nod, like.
But as soon as he's better, you see a rematch happening between him and Poirier.
I don't know. Listen, the rematch is there. You got the rematch with him, like you got the rematch with Diaz. You know, it's always going to be there. I don't know what the landscape's going to look like when he's ready, or how long it's going to be, and so to say definitively. I can't right here, right now. But you always have that rematch.
Usually people talk about the fighters' entrances, but Taito Voss's exit was maybe one of the best exits ever. Would you share a shoey with Ty?
If the world was on fire and everybody was dying of thirst, that's the last fucking thing I would ever do. Ever. But good for him. Not my thing.
And we're finally back. Vegas is open. It's alive. T-Mobile. Do you have any dates, more dates here in Vegas for T-Mobile?
We do. I don't know it off the top of my head, but we will be back to Vegas, yes. Yep.
Right. You mentioned the pay-per-view buys. Before, you were talking a lot about efforts to crack down on online piracy and stuff. Where do you feel like you are with that right now?
Yeah, I got a text tonight that there was something like, there were tons of sites out there doing it, but we have a whole system in place that, you know, we're so good at that. We're so good at that. We battle that every day. We spend a lot of money to make sure that doesn't happen. The other thing, too, hats off to ESPN. You know, no issues tonight whatsoever with anybody purchasing. You know, I was beating the drum all week to do pre-buy so you're not part of the, you know, 2 million people that are trying to jump on at the same time and do it. And I don't know if you guys, I haven't heard one word all night about anybody having trouble buying the fight. So they did a great job.
When it seems like you guys make so much money from ESPN directly now and from increasingly international rights fees and stuff, and that pay-per-view gets to be a smaller chunk of the business.
Oh, no. The pay-per-view is where we live or die. Pay-per-view is our business.
Do you see that as like 5-10 years from now? You think that stays the same way? Because it seems like you're trending more and more in rights fees.
It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Because in my opinion, over the next 10 years, the networks and all this stuff are going to go away. Everything's going to be streaming. Everything's going to be streaming, and it's going to be global. And I think that, like ABC, CBS, and NBC, that we grew up with as the powerhouses in television, there will be 3 of those. Will it be Netflix, ESPN, and YouTube? I don't know. It'll be somebody, there'll be 3 powerful people out there, and they'll start locking up sports rights or whatever's going to do. I think the landscape is going to change so much in the next 10 years. I don't know.
Lastly, what do you think about Greg Hardy at this point? Because he's gotten some good placement, and you guys have had a good push behind him, but he hasn't beat a lot of guys who are like notable still UFC guys.
Well, tonight was a big night for him. Tonight was a really big night. Tied to Tuivasa would have been a real win for him. So, yeah, I don't know what this means for him tonight, but.
Dana, back over here on your right.
Yep.
So both Conor and Dustin this week, they mentioned that they want to challenge Charles Oliveira for the lightweight title at the end of the year at Allegiant Stadium down the street. But since T-Mobile is the exclusive home for the UFC events in Las Vegas, is Allegiant Stadium even a possibility for that fight?
No. Is my mic working? No.
Not a possibility.
No. You know what kind of a fight you have to go into, a stadium? You gotta be in a place, like for instance, you know where we do a stadium? When Australia opens back up and we can go back over there and put on you do an Adesanya versus Whitaker in Australia or New Zealand or something like that. Those are stadium shows, The other thing, I don't love stadium shows here in the United States and other places. Like in Australia, they're used to stadiums. I think it takes away from the experience. When you watch a fight in an arena like tonight, it has a tighter feel. It has this energy and this buzz inside of it. You can see the fight really well no matter where you're sitting. And I don't like taking away that in-house experience.
So there's no possibility even if a big fight presents
anything's
itself?
possible. Allegiant Stadium, the end of this year with Oliveira and Poirier? No, that's not possible.
Okay. So last one for me. There was also a lot of confusion amongst fans about the booking of Cyril Gane versus Derek Lewis in Houston. Did the multi-event...
Who's confused?
Fans.
Oh.
Did the multi-event partnership that the UFC signed with the Toyota Center increase the urgency to have Derek Lewis booked for a title fight in Houston next month?
No. It was almost simultaneous when we did the deal. I'm friends. He's a Fertitta.
Okay, so no relation to that at all?
No, he's a Fertitta. He and I, last time we got together, first of all, when the pandemic we were coming out of the end of the pandemic here, he hit me up and said, Texas needs you. We need you out here really badly. Can you come to Houston? I said, and I think you guys remember this. I said, fuck, I'll go this weekend. It was like the Stipe fight, the Stipe DC fight. I was going to bring it there that weekend. Some shit went on internally. We couldn't get it done. We go out there. We kill it in Houston. And he's like, that night after the fight, I met with him. And he's like, I want you to come back more and more often. So let's talk about it. We started talking, and we were going to go back to Houston. But there's no... One thing that I never do is never put any pressure on ourselves that we have to go somewhere or whatever. We did the deal because we're friends and we like each other and we do really good business together. And I like Houston, too. So that's why.
All right. Thanks, Dana.
Yep.
Are we going to London in September?
We what?
Are we going to London in September?
We're supposed to. I think so. I got to go to London here soon. They got me doing something over there. I'll be going there soon, and we're trying to go there before the end of the year.
Is there a concern because there's still a travel ban at the moment?
Yeah, I know. Listen, I don't know how any of this stuff's going to play out. We'll see how this winter's coming. When we start going to the fall and then winter and Delta, and I don't know, man. We'll see.
Is there any concern that we might start going back and fucking all that stuff, lockdowns and stuff like that?
Other people will go back. I'm not going back. You know what I'm going to do. I'm good, no matter what happens. I'm moving forward. I'm doing my thing. Do I think other sports will possibly shut down? Yeah, I think they probably will again, and but we won't. So you guys will all still be traveling. unless your bosses don't let you. That's it. Thanks for everybody. Have a great night.
What's up?
Gilbert, congratulations on the victory. I know you're always seeking a finish and surely would have preferred that tonight, but talk to me about how you're feeling after that win.
I feel good. I feel special. You know, I just lost a title shot, and then you got to go back and beat a freaking guy that's very dangerous. The game plan will stay disciplined, hands up, take him down, smash him, make sure I control him when I take him down. Don't hunt to the submission on the first round like I did with Woodley and end up losing. So stay on top, control him, smash him. That was a little bit of the game plan, but for sure I always want to finish. I felt bad that I didn't have a finish, but I beat a guy that a lot of guys lost, a lot of guys that a guy that a lot of guys doesn't want to fight. Yeah, I feel great, I feel special.
Can you talk about how challenging it was? I mean, you talked about like bringing in Raymond Daniels and getting a feel for that, but he is one of the most unique guys in the division. So, you know, you think you're ready, you think you know what to expect. How different was it when you got in there?
I got ready with Raymond Daniels, 3 guys. Raymond Daniels, my guy that was here with me, Jason Jackson, a beast, number 3 on the Bellator. He was the one doing the cage defense, defending takedown, and he gave me such a hard work that I felt ready. No, Raymond Daniels, Jason Jackson, Leon Jimenez, all my guys at Sanford. I felt great. I felt ready for sure. It's still tricky a little bit. He hit me with a freaking spinning kick on my neck. My neck's sore right now, but besides that, I'm healthy, I'm good, and I'm happy with that weight.
Crowd obviously voiced their displeasure a little bit at some point. I mean, you're hearing that in your mind, but you know you've got to stay in this position to win the fight. Is that difficult to stay disciplined? I mean, what's going through your head as you're hearing the crowd?
I just lost my fight for the title because I wasn't disciplined. It wasn't as hard to stay disciplined. I want to win. I want to become a champion. And they give me such a tough guy to fight. A guy that Leon say no, Colby say no. I say, give me this guy, I don't care. And I got to stay disciplined. That was my whole training session. Every day of my preparation, I listen to my coach, I want you disciplined. Before we start sparring, I want you disciplined. I want the hands up. I want you light on your feet, moving. When you go, you go. If you're not feeling like it, keep moving, keep the hands up, stay active. And it paid off.
Like I said, it's a big win over a tough guy. You had a handful of names ready. I think they all make sense because they're all right there with you. But are any of those matchups more preferable to you than others?
Not really. I just took the NMF belt. I can take the BMF belt. If Leon won, he can get it. If Nate won, he can get it. I know I just got a title shot. I cannot. I can't ask for another title shot. I don't believe they're gonna give it to me. So I want to keep working. I want to keep staying disciplined, keep getting better. I need to find that balance to stay disciplined, but at the same time get a finish. I'm just gonna keep working. Give me any one of these guys. Only thing I like Masvidal fight a lot, but he just got 2 losses, and he make a lot of money, so he got to give me an extra check to fight him. But I fight Masvidal next, but put me on a pay-per-view card, I'll fight him, and it's going to be a crazy one.
Go to your left. What was the secret to getting Steven down so many times? I mean, I don't remember him being taken down that often.
He never fought me, but the secret was Jason Jackson, Bellator number 3 on the world. That guy was the guy. 2 guys. Like I said, Raymond Daniels give me the decency, and Jason defended the takedown. They make me ready. A lot of variations, a lot of things. They got very strong. My guys from IAGP, my strength conditioning coach, they led me very, very strong. And all the preparation for the Kamaru fight, I think I learned so much, and that got me ready. You know, I was getting ready to fight Kamaru. It didn't wait the way it went, but I was very well prepared to clinch a lot, to scramble a lot. We keep growing on the preparation. For sure, we change a lot of the styles, but I have that gorilla power right there. As soon as I get a hold of him, and I was remembering the training, as soon as I get a body lock, I was just like, man, the guy's not as strong as Jason. It felt so good, you know, when you expect the guy to be a freaking monster, and when you get a hold, oh, he's not that monster. That feels good.
How well did he defend? Because when you did get him down, it didn't seem like you ever really threatened anything.
I mean, the harder part was to get close. I need to be very aware to don't get any counter shot, trying to get the angle, but he was very sneaky. But as soon as I got in, I felt great. I said, okay, it's a matter of time, take that guy down. Let's make sure we get a good grip. We stay strong, stay busy. As soon as I get a good position, I went for it, and I think it was 3 times. The 3 times that I tried, I took him down.
And 2 other questions for me. Number 1, how do you break down Colby against Usma? Now that they fought each other, what changes do you think each guy would make, and who would you favor?
My favorite is Kamaru. I mean, I never trained with Colby, but I trained a lot with Kamaru, a tough guy. He just beat me, just beat Masvidal. We stay active, we stay training. Colby broke his jaw. Like, Kamaru break Colby's jaw. I think Kamaru gets more power. You don't see, I think I never saw Colby knocking everyone down or even knocking no one out. Kamaru does. Kamaru has a freaking gas tank too, a good wrestling. Yeah, Kamaru's the favorite, I think. He 10 more fights against Colby, I think he won every single one.
And then lastly for me, you had talked about your discipline being important. Tactically, what do you think? Anything you have to change in the rematch when you finally do get Kamaru?
Yeah, a lot of things I gotta change in my preparation. I did a lot of mentally change, a lot of things. I got very angry at that fight, very emotional, and that took me out of the fight. I gotta stay disciplined, a little bit more technical mistakes that I made it, and I'm gonna keep evolving. That's why I want to fight, and I do believe in 1 or more 2 fights to get another title shot. And I don't mind with that. I'm just going to keep getting better, keeping discipline, and putting a lot of tools on my game. I just show a lot of guys, Johnny Hendricks, Tyron Woodley, a lot of guys couldn't take Wonder Boy down the way I did. And, yeah, still going to get better and try to get a finish next time. But, yeah, I'm going to keep getting better.
Gilbert, to your right over here.
Yep.
Were the constant level changes in round 2 and 3, was that a part of the game plan?
Yeah, a lot of that was, I got to make him gas, you know. So sometimes he got on the distance and he was very effective coming forward. And then I like, okay. And then I listened to my coach, Daniel Kami Barzini. Hard change level. And then I change and say, oh, okay, he don't like that. And then, yeah, after that, I started listening to my coach, staying disciplined, and that's what I did.
And how much nicer is a win like this, you know, back in front of the crowd, being on one of these big cards, you know, having the family here again, is how much nicer is that?
Yeah, we're super nice having the family here. My wife right there, Bruna, Pedro, Joshua, the whole family right here was amazing, you know. And then for sure the arena, that energy, they were booing. I don't care. It was good. I felt that energy, and but the main thing was coming back from a loss. It's always good to get a win, especially that was a big one. It was a title shot. I was about to become a champion, and then I lost. And I'm like, man, it's over. No, it's not over. You know, okay, let's bounce back. Let's keep working. I think that made me a very successful night, a special night. Be able to bounce back. You know, like, okay, with the dream still alive. Let's go.
Did you get a chance to see the main event, and just what did you think about it?
I saw a little bit. I was taking a shower, and then the kids started yelling, and then I'm like, oh. But when I saw the kick, I think he kicked right, and then Poirier blocked.
He stepped back on it.
Yeah, oh. My wife said, oh, he broke his feet. And then we were looking. Unfortunately, you know, I think it's a crazy sport. It's a tough sport. And I saw what happened with Anderson Silva. I saw what happened with Chris Weidman not long ago. We saw what happened to Conor. So it's unfortunate. It's a very hard sport. And we got to appreciate these guys when they are out there putting the show. And it's unfortunate. I was looking forward so much for this fight, but it is what it is, you know. I think Conor, you got to take for sure a little time off, heal up. But I wasn't watching. I didn't know how the fight was going. But it's an unfortunate situation.
And do you think that he's kind of crossed the line a little bit with, you know, you mentioned your family right there, but if somebody was doing that to you, is that too much, how he's been bringing in Poirier's wife and everything to the conversation?
What he was doing?
He's been talking, you know, trash talk about family, Dustin's family, and, you know, wife and everything.
He trying to get on each. We try to get on each other's mind. I think, for sure, we cannot cross that line. But at the end of the day, we fighting. I'm trying to take the guy head off. If say something, I think you for sure. I don't want to cross that line. But in the same way, we're gonna fight anyway. So I I don't like to cross that line, but if the guy do, it's my job to don't let that affect me. So I think it's a little, I don't know, but it's part of the game.
Gilbert, over here to your far right.
Yep.
What you mentioned that when you had Steven in body lock, he wasn't as strong as your training partners. Was there anything else that surprised you or was unexpected in the match with Wonder Boy?
The distance that he did was he was long. Another thing that I like so much, when he hit me a couple of times, it wasn't as hard as I thought you, because I tried to put a monster out there. Okay, I'm looking at that guy, when he hits, it's going to be hard. When I go to the cage, it's going to be hard. And everything I put it hard. If it's not as hard, better. But if it's hard, I'm ready for. And freaking Raymond Daniels was so quick, hit me from a lot of different angles that it's kind of hard to say, but Raymond, I think, was a little quicker, a little bit more freaking spinning from every angle and kicking me, but he's still a very tough opponent that I saw tonight.
For sure. I know it doesn't matter to fighters if you're the underdog or the favorite, but you were the underdog, in that fight. And a lot of people were saying, even though you have great training partners, it's not going to work against Wonder Boy. What did you think if you read these things or if people tell you these things?
The thing is, I don't read those things, and if I do read it, doesn't affect me. I know exactly who I am. I know exactly the skill set that I possess. I've been finishing all these guys. I lost to Kamaru Usman last time. Yeah, I did, but that's my only loss in that division. Besides that, I beat every single one in that division, and I'm going to keep doing that. So I don't pay attention on that. I know exactly who I am, know my capabilities. And I cannot control what people are going to say. People are going to hate on that fight. Now they're going to say, oh, that guy is old. Like, same thing with Damian Maia. I fought Damian Maia. Oh, Damian Maia is old. Okay. I fought Woodley. Oh, Woodley is old. Okay. And then I fought Wonder Boy. Now Wonder Boy is old. And then if I fought next guy, oh, that guy is, everybody's old. So I'm just going to keep on beating everybody.
For sure. Last question for me. Gilbert, last question over here, if I could.
Yeah.
How would you rate your performance 1 through 10?
I think it was a 9.5. I think it was a good one. The guy was very tough. I can name the guys that didn't take him down the way I did. Johnny Hendricks, high-level wrestling. I don't know how many times wrestling champion. Then Tyron Woodley, and then Jorge Masvidal just lost to him too. He beat my guy Vicente Luque. He's a tough one, and then I was able to dominate him. And if for sure I'm a finisher. I want to beat I want to beat the crap out of the guy that is in front of me. But sometimes sometimes got to go that way.
Absolutely, great work.
Thank you.
Durinho, tudo bom? Aqui em português, por favor. Durinho, o quão importante foi para você ter participado da sua amizade com o Vicente Luque, a luta do Luque contra o Thompson? Eu sei que vocês têm uns estilos muito diferentes, mas que tipo de lição, que tipo de conselho você tirou dali?
Então, eu vi muita coisa na luta do Vicente. Eu estava no corner dele, estava lá. Eu fazia os sparrings, eu mandava um vídeo para ele. Ele ia vir para a luta, mas acabou que fechou a luta dele. Daí ia atrapalhar muito se ele viesse, mas a gente se falou direto. Ele mandou mensagem antes da luta também. E a hora que ele me deu rodada, que me deu uma balançada ali, eu perdi as pernas, porque eu lembrei muito do Vicente. Numa hora que o Vicente se machucou um pouquinho na luta, que sentiu um golpe, ele ficou com a mão alta, mexendo bastante ali, ciscando, e o Steven não vem. Eu lembrei muito disso. Eu falei, putz, quando ele tomar um knockdown, ficar igual o Vicente ali com a mão alta, mexendo ali, dar umas fitas que ele para de vir, se eu precisar de tempo para me recuperar. Então isso foi uma das grandes coisas, de várias outras coisas que eu peguei daquela luta contra o Vicente.
Eu te perguntar desse knockdown, foi de fato um knockdown? Você chegou próximo ali? Qual foi a sensação?
Foi um rodado aqui atrás da nuca. Deu perna um pouquinho ali, mas aí lembrei daqui, já estava automático ali, se eu tomasse algum golpe de dar uma fintada, de mexer bastante. Perdi a perna um pouquinho, mas recuperei muito rápido. Não chegou a ser um knockdown que eu não caí, não fiquei mal ali, só tive que apoiar a mão e voltar.
Depois de algumas lutas durante a pandemia, todo esse processo sem público, voltar com o público e ser vaiado, como é que foi lidar com isso? Pareceu que você lidou numa boa ali, mas como é que foi a sensação?
Foi irado. Na real, quando acabou a luta, e eu vi a galera ali, pra mim eu tava no Brasil, daí a galera tá me... eu falei, não tô no Brasil não. Mas a galera vaiando ali, a energia da galera foi irada, não tem problema não.
próximo passo, quando a gente pode ver o Durinho de volta e contra quem seria o ideal para você?
Acho que outubro ou novembro ali, qualquer um, falei 3 nomes lá, Ney Dias, o Masvidal, o Leon Edwards, aí são os 3 caras que me interessam.
Para finalizar então, The Last One, se puder olhar para essa câmera aqui, estou ao vivo aqui, o pessoal da G-Fight, mandar um recado pro Brasil.
Valeu, galera do Brasil, muito obrigado. O sonho tá vivo, vamos pegar esse cinturão, obrigado pela torcida. Thank you, guys.
Dustin, congratulations on the victory. I know it's kind of a weird ending, but obviously, a very exciting fight while it lasted. How satisfied are you as you sit there right now with the performance tonight?
You know, you never want to get a win that way, but what happened was a result of checking a kick. You know, I'm more than sure of it, and you know, he got what he had coming to him, man. Karma's a mirror. And I busted my ass for so long to put myself in this position. I doubled down on myself after beating him in January when they offered me a title shot. You know, I doubled down on myself and it paid off.
Nice. You were in there with him, obviously, just 6 months ago, so you know you're familiar with him at this point. How did that first round play out? Did anything surprise you? I mean, he did have a couple of decent moments in there. Did anything surprise you at all?
When he jumped for a guillotine, that surprised me. Nah, he hit me with a good left hand. I kind of was at an angle. I didn't see it. It was like a downward left hand. The kid can punch, man. He really can. He hit me with a good left hand. I thought he was going to use calf kicks against me, and I was right. Yeah, that's about it.
Jump the gilly, your signature move there, right?
Don't be silly, jump the gilly.
It did look a little bit in there. I was trying to figure out. It looked like you were complaining a little bit to Herb Dean.
Oh, that's why I let him up. That's why I let him up at the end of the, yeah, I don't know. But I let him up because he had 3 fingers in my glove, you know, the cuff of the tape, so it's a good grip. And he's pulling me down into up kicks. He's pulling me down and kicking up at the same time. You know, I'm not surprised that he does that type of stuff, you know. I was telling Herb that, you know, this guy's, I can't get out of it.
Did he acknowledge you at all? That's why I couldn't tell what was being said. Did Herb acknowledge you at all? Or?
When I told Herb maybe Conor pulled his fingers out, I got to go back. You know, fighting's crazy. I got to go back and see. But that's what I was trying to tell Herb.
Yeah. And then obviously there was a late sequence at the end of the opening round. I mean, you were pushing to the end. When you went back to your corner at the end of round 1, did you know something was wrong?
Yeah, when I was walking away, and he stayed down, I looked down at his shin and I saw the bone, like I saw it was disfigured a little bit, and I was like, oh man. It's just weird that it held together because I'm more than sure it happened on when I checked the kick, that it held together, and then, you know, probably when he pivoted on that bone, that's when it probably separated or something. You know, I don't know, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah. So as you walk back to your corner, did you go, the fight's over?
Yeah, I went sit on the stool, and I forget who was it in my corner came up to me and said, this is over.
Nice. You know, like you said, it's not the way you want a fight to end, right? But I do wonder, I mean, he said you were going to be leaving on a stretcher. He ends up leaving on a stretcher. I mean, do you take any satisfaction in that?
Listen, Conor said some nasty stuff that didn't make it on Embedded, and maybe when this behind the scenes for this fight airs, you'll see him on the ground still saying some real bad stuff. But even that stuff being said, I don't wish, you know, serious harm like that on nobody. The guy's got kids. I want him to go home safe to his family. I pray before these fights. Every time before I walk through the octagon door, I'm praying that not for me to win. I'm praying that we both get out of this safe, because, you know, I know what I'm going to try to do to him. I know what he's going to try to do to me. You know.
He said afterwards the rivalry's not over. Dana White was here earlier, and Dana said, you know, obviously you're going to fight for the title next, but at some point you do the rematch down the line. Do you feel like the rivalry is over? Or do you feel like...
No, we are going to fight again, whether it's in the octagon or on the sidewalk. You don't say the stuff he said, you know.
The things that he did say, especially afterwards, you're saying about your wife and that sort of thing.
Nah, my wife's solid as a rock. I'm not worried about that. That's noise. He was saying that he was going to kill me. You don't say stuff like that. That he was going to murder me. You don't say stuff like that, you know. You don't say stuff about people's wives either, but I know that's, you know, I know that's zero chance. But there is a chance, you know, somebody could die. And you don't say that. You don't wish that on anybody, man.
Last thing for me, as I said, I mean, you're fighting for the world title next. I mean, I know it's going to be a big moment for you. Are early. I'm sure you want to go rest a little bit.
I just want to know how much Chad Ochocinco lost tonight. Yeah, you bet on Conor? Okay.
I figured he'd put more down than that as well. No, but I will ask, obviously you fight for the title next. Do you have an idea? I mean, do you have a date circuit on the calendar, an idea? I mean, how soon you want to fight?
I feel like I've been preparing for a fight since last year because I was getting ready for Conor in January. I fought him. As soon as the fight ended, I knew that was next. So I got home from Abu Dhabi and started training for that fight. I did a 9-week camp, but as soon as I got home from Abu Dhabi, I was, I had one trip. I got to decompress a little bit, but I was getting ready to fight him again. The last thing I want to do right now is go home and sign a contract and start getting ready right away. We'll see. I just need to get home and think about some things and decompress and spend some time with my family. I just found out my little brother's going to be a dad, and I just want to be around him.
Dustin, to your left. Congratulations on the victory. I know the win means a lot to you, but are you most proud of the fact that you maintained your dignity and you didn't kind of stoop to those kind of things? It would have been easy when the crowd was going crazy at the press conference and all throughout the week. You did not do that. Is that what makes you proud of your performance this week?
I'm proud of the performance, but I am proud at maintaining the mindset through all the craziness, all the talk, all the noise that's surrounding me when coming into these fights. And it doesn't start just here on Fight Week. It starts months away on social media. In the last month, I got off of social media and just let my agency post, and they would send me a picture. I would tell them a caption. They would do it all, and I wouldn't have to get on because there's just so much negativity and so much toxicity on that, man. I don't need that around me, dude. I'm trying to be a light. I'm trying to help people. Look, my goal is to provide for my family, and with these same hands that I beat these guys down with, lift my city up, lift people in need up, and just be a beacon of light and a voice for people whose voice isn't heard. And I feel like I'm doing that, and I'm happy.
How much do you think beating him twice will help your charitable efforts? Because now you're a much more notable fighter than you were, say, in December of last year, having beaten Conor McGregor twice. Do you think about that and think it'll make more of an impact for other people because of these two wins?
Yeah, anytime you beat a guy like that on a stage like this, I don't know. This was a big fight. A lot of eyes were on this, and I got to talk about the good fight a little bit in the post-fight interview. But not only in the post-fight interview, my career, my star gets bigger. More people are Googling, and I'm reaching more people. And with that, we can set bigger goals and just keep the good fight going. I have very big plans. We're going back to Uganda to build housing on land we bought. With the overflow money after we built the water wells during the Khabib fight, me, Manny Pacquiao, Justin Wren are all coming together with our nonprofits, and we're going there. We're going to build on 40 acres, and I'm just excited and proud and happy to be in a spot like that, to be able to recognize the position I'm in, and I want it to keep growing, and these kind of fights do that.
You referenced the guillotine attempt that he had before. He put that quote out where he talked about, I don't recognize losses by submission, only KOs. So, when you look at it after the fight and you go, he tried twice on you on a guillotine, like, what does that say, the fact that he's dogging submissions and yet there he is trying to submit you twice?
That just shows you, man, that it's all noise, I feel like all the craziness he was doing, he has to do that for himself, to hype himself up. Honestly, man, I'm good. I don't even like this shit anymore, dude. I just scrap because I'm good at it, and I enjoy the fight. But all this other stuff, all the talk, I just come here to get in the fight.
Last question for me, and I know, you said you don't want to talk about an Oliveira fight, but is it going to be difficult in your mind? Like, McGregor was such a big obstacle to overcome the last time because he had beaten you the first time, this time to prove it wasn't a fluke. Now you get to Oliveira, and he's just a dude in the division, right, that happens to have the belt. Mentally, will that be a hurdle, and will that be a little bit of a challenge during camp to get yourself back to that same place?
No, he's not just a guy in the division who happens to have the belt. He's a guy who's picked himself up off the canvas time and time again, fought through adversity, through 2 weight classes, been in the UFC a decade. He's not just a guy with a belt, he's earned every ounce of gold he has around his waist, and I have nothing but respect for guys like that. I don't know him personally, but his work history, I can't hate on anything he's done. The guy, it's incredible. That's tougher to do than, I think, to go undefeated, you know, because you never learn things about yourself. You learn so much about things about yourself in those losses, and of climbing back up to the top and getting motivated again. You know, that's when you find out you're a real fighter. I'm not saying that these undefeated guys aren't, but I'm just saying I have respect for somebody like that who's climbed back up and won a world championship.
Hey, Dustin, down here to your left. Congratulations on the win. Trilogies in combat sports, there's always a sense of like closure and finality for trilogies. Do you feel that coming off of this win? Closure?
It sucks, man, because I was gonna beat the guy if his leg would have held up. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I need to digest it all, you know, because right now it kind of feels weird that I have a lot of fights, and there's always been a definite end to my, well, besides the first Eddie Alvarez fight was kind of gray area, but it's not a good feeling, you know. I won, and I feel like what happened was because something I did, but it's not like I went out there and submitted him or put him away. There's going to be so many voices and so many opinions saying, "Oh, you didn't win." You know, I know that. I know the MMA fans. I know the MMA game. But I'm going back home to my family, and you guys here can check my record tomorrow, and it's a win.
I want to get your reaction on you know, some of the, I guess, the mixed reaction from the crowd tonight when you came out, you know, after the finish. You know, you're a guy who tries really hard to do everything right. You have a charity. You're a family man, and you know, they're cheering someone like Conor, you know, over you, even with all the things that he said. You know, some things that, like you said, were maybe crossed the line. I mean, the fans' reaction. How does that make you feel?
Man, fans, you know, I appreciate them. I appreciate them filling up the seats, and they're gonna root for who they're gonna root for. Like I said, it's noise. You know, I don't really overthink that stuff anymore. It's just noise. Thank you for buying the ticket.
Dustin, over here on your right. First of all, congratulations on getting the win. In the post-fight press conference in the cage, you referenced you brought somebody out to the fight tonight. Can you elaborate on that? Tell us a story about that.
Yeah, we did a fundraiser back home right before I left to start training camp for a young man named Peyton Murphy. And we flew him and his mom and dad out here. He's battling a bone cancer, and the cancer had went into remission, and then it came back. So, you know, he's a real fighter. Guys like that, that's who I want to lift up, and it's inspiring to me to see this guy, you know, going about his everyday life, still, you know, loving life and living life, and never giving up hope, you know. That's a real fighter. So yeah, we flew his family out, and we did a fundraiser and raised some money for them back home in Louisiana.
That's good stuff. All week you did a pretty good job of not getting into the trash talk too much. You kind of took the high road all week, but in the post-fight press conference, it seemed like he kind of dug into that a little bit. Did he say something to you afterwards in the cage that triggered that, and if so, what was it?
Yeah, he was saying, he was putting, dude, I hope they show the behind-the-scenes stuff, man. He was like still sitting on the ground, still saying, "I'm gonna kill you." He was putting his hand to his head like a gun. Like, bro, chill out, chill out. He was saying that.
All right, thanks, Dustin.
Hey, Dustin, right here, in the front. Dustin, a lot of the times when you have a champion leave, you know, the next guy coming in, there's like, well, you're great, but you didn't beat the man to become the man. You've now had 2 fantastic performances against Conor McGregor. Charles is on a great win streak. Can you talk about just how you guys, you know, this is a new era in the lightweight division, and both you and Charles, even though you're not going to get that Khabib fight again, you guys are now running the show at 155.
That's anything, man. That's not only sports, business, everything. You know, the next generation comes up. There's new contenders. There's new hungry guys who's putting in work, and the game's not only that, the game's always evolving. So you have these young kids now who have been training mixed martial arts since they were 12 years old, you know, now they're 18 and start fighting, and it's just a different landscape for mixed martial arts because it's such a new sport.
Fans talk about, you know, rivalry, and, you know, the media gets into it, a lot of storylines get into it. When you think of Conor, you know, take yourself out of it in the competition, do you see it like this is a rival, or is this just, you know what, this is a guy I just happened to be scheduled to compete against? Like, how do you see him, you know, in the story of your career?
Yeah, I'm trying my best to not take it personal. But like I'm saying, man, I know I'm making it seem like a big deal talking about this over and over again, but you don't say that type of shit to people. You don't say you're gonna kill somebody. You know, that I don't take that lightly, man. I don't know.
Thank you. Dustin, right here. You mentioned that you don't really, like fighting too much anymore necessarily, but
I like fighting. I don't like the process. I don't like the
Right.
sheep fans and the crazy clickbait media.
Fair enough.
You know, it's turned into a fashion show. You know, I like the real stuff, and that's fighting. That's the only real part about this whole thing.
Right. So, I mean, if you were to go back in time, though, like, if you never got into fighting, what do you think you would have ended up doing?
I don't know. I was getting in a lot of trouble before fighting, man. I'm not sure. I'm glad I did. For sure.
Is it fun for you to kind of see all the celebrities at a big event like this?
Yeah, it was cool, man. Steve-O came backstage, David Spade, a bunch of people. It's awesome. Tonight was packed. You know, Trump was right there when I turned around. It's crazy.
The Rat King make it out, Theo?
Theo's here, yeah.
All right.
Theo is here for sure.
Hey, Dustin. Dustin, congrats on the victory. Right over here. Let's say you beat Oliveira and you become the lightweight champion. In your eyes, does Conor McGregor need to win a fight to get a title shot against you?
Bro, Conor McGregor is 1-3 or 1-4 in the lightweight division. Yeah, he has to win some fights. But like I said before, a guy like that goes out there and starches somebody, he's right back in the top contender talk, you know, just because of his star power. But
Dustin over here.
the guy with real questions at the press conference.
Thank you, sir. All stories have heroes and villains, the good guys and the bad guys. You work with kids. You inspire, you motivate, you change lives. What's the message you can give to these kids about how people are cheering the bad guy and booing the good guy in a setting like this where they can understand how life really works sometimes? He is a magnificent personality. We get that. But the work that you do, obviously, the kids have to be confused. Why are they booing the bad guy? What do you tell them, and how does that affect you personally?
I don't know. I don't think about it that deep. But that's just the world we live in, you know? That's just the world these kids are going to grow up in. I don't know how to answer that question.
Does it, you know, when he is being cheered, and listen, this crowd is chanting USA for every other American fighter other than you. Doesn't it affect you in any capacity?
I definitely would rather them be cheering for me, but like I'm pretty solid mentally now. I just don't care about that stuff. It doesn't really bother me, you know, because they can't get in there and fight for him.
Dustin over here to your far right. So one of the things you were kind of hinting at was all the noise he was making, all the trash he was talking. A lot of people were thinking both of you guys were equally as confident going into this fight, but I wonder if you kind of feel that maybe he wasn't that confident going into this fight.
Yeah, I think he was overcompensating for that mental space where he's asking himself at night, you know, am I still that guy?
Yeah.
And maybe he performs better when he's in that character, in that mode. You know, everybody has their own thing. I don't know.
Would it make you feel any better or worse knowing it was all kind of a put on to try to get into your head because he didn't feel he had much of a chance?
No, you know, I don't hate the guy, but you just don't say stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
You don't say stuff like that.
Last question.
Great, his speed. He has a lot of great attributes. His ability to thrive under pressure and cameras and lights is you know, amazing as well. But he's just a human being, like I was saying at the press conference. You know, he bleeds just like me.
Absolutely. Congratulations.
Dustin, would you mind to talk a little bit more about Oliveira? How do you see you can beat him? How do you see him as your next opponent?
I haven't started getting with my coaches and breaking down footage and doing all that, you know, everything that comes along with preparing for an opponent. But I'll probably just calf kick him. Probably.
When and where do you want to fight him?
We'll see. I need to go home and decompress. I don't know the schedule for the UFC, what they're planning on doing at the end of the year. I know somebody earlier told me Charles wanted to fight me in December. So we'll see. You know, we'll figure everything out. I just want to get home to my family.
Dustin, question for you. Your mental focus was outstanding. You never played the McGregor games. I know that was you didn't focus on the title either. You focused on Conor. Looking at Charles now, will that be an issue thinking about Conor? Or will the entire focus be on the title?
No, because like I know for certain the title fight wasn't even going to be an option, you know, until tonight happened. So there's no reason to drain energy on that plan. When I have plan A right here, I can't look at plan B or the next step because all I have is the moment, you know.
Dustin, I think after the last event, a lot of us felt that the story between you two, everybody liked the interaction, but now after seeing what happened in this fight week, where do you think that the hate from Conor stems from?
Like we were just talking, maybe he has to build himself up to be that guy, and he performs better that way. He believes the stuff he's saying, and he turns into that character. I don't know. Maybe he's a bad person. I don't know.
And then a couple other lighthearted ones. I'd love to give you one more chance to plug the stuff that you're doing with Justin Wren and Pacquiao. A little update on where you guys stand with that and the work that you guys are doing.
I have to get with my wife and see the donations that come in through the website, and then obviously every fight I auction off my fight kit. So 100% of those proceeds from the auction of my fight kit of what I wore tonight is going to go to that goal. And I'm not sure exactly where we're at with that, but I would guess we're going in the right direction.
And lastly, I'm not sure if you saw it while you were in the back. When Tuivasa was coming out and leaving the cage, he was doing some shoeys. I don't know if you saw somebody poured him a shoey, but actually put your hot sauce in there as well. I don't know if you actually saw. He wasn't the biggest fan, but I don't think he was blaming on the fact of your sauce. It was just the fact that somebody actually put hot sauce in with beer. He said it was a no.
From a shoe?
In a shoe.
Don't blame it on the sauce. Blame it on the feet. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Congrats.
Just real quick to you, right?
Final two questions we have.
You mentioned how you don't care about the stuff around the fight so much anymore, and you don't get dragged into the negativity. And we could see you kind of in the pre-fight press conference. It seemed like you were just willing yourself not to get pulled into his stuff. How did you get to that point? What was the process like to go from being pulled into some of that stuff to getting to this point where you're not as bothered by it?
It's just been a long process of years of making mistakes from being too committed and caring too much about everything, and things that I can't control. I'm not sure. It's just evolution of myself, not only as a fighter, but as a husband and a father. I don't know. I know who I am, so people can't tell me who I am. You can't sit here at a press conference and tell me who I am, Come on.
Lastly, people wondered, I think, after the last one being in Abu Dhabi in a different environment, and how some of these fights without crowds have been like a real different feel, and then you come here and it's the exact opposite of that, a packed arena in a really high energy, high emotion kind of environment. For you, what's the difference between those? How does it translate to a different fighting experience?
When I fought at the Apex last year, that was one of the best fighting experiences I had. It was quiet, peaceful. Fighting's chaotic. When I'm in the locker room warming up, I have I have anxiety and nerves. I'm about to go in front of the world. Millions of people are watching. My city back home is watching and rooting for me. I don't want to let anyone down. I don't want to let myself down. I want to perform in my ability. At the top of my, whatever I'm capable of doing, I want to perform at that. And like I'm just, over time I've got acquainted with those feelings. So when I'm in the locker room warming up, I'm like, here we go again, and I've learned that those feelings are what keep you alive, what keep you able to react in the moment at a higher speed and be on your game. But I liked fighting in the Apex when it was quiet.
Sure. Dustin, I know you've been up here a while, so I'm gonna let you get out of here. But you've been asked a bunch about you tuning everything out, you tuning Conor out, not paying attention to it. But what about, do you have to have a conversation with the family and people around you to say, hey, listen, a lot of stuff's gonna come out, just ignore it, don't pay attention to it, because other people might have a more difficult time?
Yeah, with my wife, yesterday.
Yeah. Thug wife, by the way. That's the new nickname.
Yeah. My husband, or am I her wife?
No, my coach, yes, I think, said thug wife for the picture of her flipping off Conor in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I mean, though, about, like, other people around you don't.
Well, she was getting worked up, just like the stuff with the charity. But I've been in the spotlight a long time, been fighting UFC, had great performances, mostly. A few ones that didn't go my way. And I just know, like, the fire that comes down with that stuff. So I'm more, equipped to handle all the hate. She's not. So when the charity stuff started happening with Conor and a lot of hate was being thrown, she felt it because she, does so much for the charity. So it kind of started bringing her down. And then with Conor doing this other stuff he just did, like, it was working her up more than it was me, So yeah.
Will the sauce be sold out tomorrow?
Sorry, how much more difficult is it, like, when you don't have, like, you have to see your family going through it, and you have to watch them because you are able to tune it out. You said, hey, it was cool, you're chill, but then when you have to, it has to hurt you to have other people.
Yeah. I don't like to see that, man, but I guess that's just, I don't know, I guess that's just where I'm at in my career, in the sport. But, I don't want anybody around me to have to go through stuff like that. But that, man, it's whatever, man. So it's social media stuff, That shit's not real.
Will there still be sauce tomorrow? Will it be sold out?
We'll have to see. We're about to launch. This is the original. This is the OG. We're about to launch the KO edition on the 15th. So people wanted a hotter sauce, and we definitely brought a hotter sauce with ghost pepper. So.
Can you eat it? Can you eat the hot one?
Oh yeah. Thank you guys so much.
I told you you'd make it to the big show. Now here we are.